Chelsea versus Leeds. Last game, West Ham 3, Chelsea 2. Chelsea 3, Zenit 3 in the Champions League. Leeds United picked up a 2-2 draw against Brentford. What happened last season between these teams, you may ask? What happened? 0-0 draw and a 3-1 win for Chelsea. Previously, before Leeds' promotion back to the Premier League, Chelsea did defeat Leeds 5-1 in the quarterfinal of the EFL Cup. Leeds do have a solitary win back in 2002 in their last 10, dating back to 2001. But in 26 all-time Premier League meetings, Leeds do have a very, very good record against Chelsea, right? 8 wins, 9 draws, Chelsea with 9 wins. But that's a different Leeds team, right? In the current decade, Chelsea are unbeaten against, well, the last decade, 2010 decade, and even in the 2000 decade, Chelsea did pretty good. So, the 90s, Leeds had a good record against Chelsea. You got to go back to the 90s. And with that being said, I'm just going to go back to the 90s and let you guys know the results really quick there. Look, the 70s, oh man. The 70s, look, between 1974 and 1992, Chelsea did not defeat Leeds in about 12 games. 10 to 12 games, which is absolutely nuts. And Leeds did good against Chelsea in the 90s, but yeah, that's not the case anymore at all. So, yeah, man, that's some good stuff. Some very, very good stuff. The all-time record between these two teams, they do have 68 matches, according to what I have here. 20 wins for Chelsea, 30 for Leeds, and 18 draws. So, historically, Leeds have been the better team over Chelsea, but we know in modern times that have definitely changed. We know that. This will be the second meeting between Thomas Tuchel and Marcelo Bielsa. The first match ended in a draw. And to be exact, that was a 0-0 draw. This will be Bielsa's third game against Chelsea, where he's lost 1, drew 1. And as I mentioned, Tuchel's only game against Leeds have ended in a draw. Players to watch for both teams. Look, for Leeds United, Rafinha, a Brazilian talismanic winger there. Rafinha, definitely one to keep an eye on. And for Chelsea, to be honest, I don't even know who to say to keep an eye on. Mason Mount. Mason Mount has been making things tick. Whenever things get to the ticking, it's been Mason Mount. You know, the players have been very inconsistent all over the place, if you ask me. It's been more of a team effort this season for Chelsea rather than individuals really stepping up, and there's haven't really been many standout performances, if you ask me. So, because if you look at the goal scoring, it's been shared by players all over the field, right? So, look, in terms of the players, man, in terms of the various squads, for Chelsea, Mateo Kovacic contracted the coronavirus while he's been on, recovering from injury. Jorginho, he did not play the last game with some back issue. He's a doubt, but most likely will feature. Chelsea fans might think he shouldn't feature. He's been making a lot of mistakes lately. Trevor Chalobah and N'Golo Kante missed the last game. And Ben Chilwell could be out for a lengthy period. And those were the only absences I had up until that point. So, as I always like to say, this could change. This could definitely change as time progresses. For Leeds United, not very good news for them. Calvin Phillips will be out with a hamstring injury, and he could be out for up to 2 months or more. Patrick Bamford is also a doubt for this game. even though he returned from injury. He hurt himself while celebrating the equalizer in the game against Brentford. So, how unfortunate, right? Liam Cooper was injured off. He's going to be a big miss. And Pascal Strike is a doubt. Robin Koch still, recovering. And the bright youngster, Joe Gelhardt, has been MIA lately. So those are the updates on both teams. There might be a few other players out, as I mentioned, that, slipped through the cracks. Did you know? Chelsea have won their last 4 home league matches against Leeds. They've never won 5 in a row against them at Stamford Bridge. Leeds have won just 2 of their last 32 away matches in London in all competitions, drawing 7, losing 23. God damn. And have lost 2 of their last 3 contests when scoring first in the capital against Chelsea last December and against Tottenham in November. 1-1 in the other versus Fulham. Both Chelsea and Leeds have scored a joint league high 3 goals in the 90 minute of Premier League matches this season. Let me repeat that. Both Chelsea and Leeds have scored a joint league high 3 goals in the 90th minute of the Premier League matches this season. Chelsea's 3 have put the gloss on already won matches for them, while Leeds' 3 have been either winning 1 or equalizing 2 strikes. So they leave it late. They leave it late, man, and that has earned them 5 points. Rafinha has scored 6 of Leeds' 15 Premier League goals this season, with no other player at the club netting more than twice so far this term. His 6 goals have been worth 7 points to the Whites, with only Jamie Vardy's strikes being more valuable to his side this season, 8. So, look, man. Look, Ademola, man. Look. Chris Kavanagh will be in charge of this game. And we already see what Leeds' problem is. They're not scoring enough goals. And they also can't defend. So problems at both ends of the field, right? Ilian Millier has been a very, very busy keeper. Very busy. What's my prediction for this game? Chelsea absolutely has to bounce back here. If Chelsea drops points here to Leeds United, they could kiss this title or whatever title hopes goodbye. Bold statement. Very bold statement. But you can't keep dropping points like this and expect people to take you seriously. You see what I mean? Because they have not been that good in their last 5 games. They haven't. Okay? And I'm talking about in all competitions. 3-3 against Zenit. Very leaky at the back. 3-2 against West Ham. That's an L. Conceded against Watford, a close game. 1-1 against United. Where have the clean sheets gone? Okay? They did beat Juventus 4-0, yeah. They beat Leicester 3-0. But there was a draw against Burnley. That's a cause for some concern. That is a cause for some concern. Just want to put it out there. They have had some good periods, but then you could go back to late September where they lost to both City and Juventus. So if you really do a deep dive on Chelsea this season, they have been all over the place. They have gotten good results, but they have been all over the place nevertheless. I think Tuchel needs to be settled on what his best 11 is, but he has this problem where there's so many good players at the team and there's some players on the fringe that are not that bad themselves that you got to involve them somewhere or the other, right? And I think when that happens, it affects the team. And there's also been injuries as well. And that could be a thing where the players are not strong enough. Or maybe they're being overworked. Who knows? In defense, that's the thing too. Because you have Thiago Silva. He's up there in age. He might not always be available. Rudiger Christensen. But the thing is, you keep, changing it up. You're bringing in Aspilicueta. Then you're bringing in Trevor Chalobah. Then sometimes you might try Malang Sarr. You might want to switch things up at left back with Alonso. Chilwell got injured. So they've been all over the place. Some days, some matches, you have the whole front three changed up. One week it's Hudson-Odoi, it's Pulisic, it's Werner. Next week it could be Lukaku, Mount, Havertz. You know what I mean? So I think that's where Chelsea's problem lies, if you ask me. And whenever they get into a situation in matches, I question whether they have a plan B or not. But I don't think a team like Leeds United should be a bother to Chelsea. They do have players that could hurt you. Rafinha comes to mind. If Bamford is fit again, he could pop up in, places you don't want him to pop up. But apart from that, Chelsea should brush aside Leeds United. I don't think Leeds are going to make it easy. But the thing about them, they play such an open brand of football that there's no pragmatism to their game. And I think that's what's been hurting the team. They just don't know when to chill. They just want to keep going at it. And you can't keep doing that. Chelsea is not a team that really would take the game to like a more quality opponent. They would more sit back. But when you have a team like Leeds, you expect Chelsea to really control most of the possession. And that could be very dangerous. Where Timo Werner had a good last game. Lukaku could be, trying to come back into form and everything. So, I don't see anything else here but a Chelsea win. 2-0. Clean sheet. Clean sheet. Laundry. 2-0 to Chelsea. As I mentioned, if we see any other result, we could see City and Liverpool, stretch the gap even further. And it might, I know it's still early, but it might actually be, too late. If you understand what I'm saying. So, every game is very, very important for Chelsea. So, look. 2-0 for Chelsea. The next game will be against Everton. Then they got Wolves, Brentford, Aston Villa. Tricky matches, Brighton. Tricky games before the big one against Liverpool on the 2nd of January. Very, very tricky games. Then they got City on the 15th. Very tricky matches. Very tricky January. Edward Mendy would be gone. Gone to the African Cup of Nations, of course. Very, very tricky. Just want to put that out there. For Leeds United, it has not been a great season. 3 wins, an indifferent season than last. After Chelsea, they got Man City next Tuesday. Arsenal, Liverpool, and Villa. It's going to be a tough December for Leeds. And if they somehow navigate this December, they'll count themselves very, very lucky. So what are your thoughts, guys? Please share it in the chat. Do appreciate it.